Hi everybody and welcome to SDI Coffee Break, and hopefully you've seen the last couple of videos in this vlog series. We're with Frank Casale from ChoiceWORX. Hi Frank, how are you?
Greetings, good to see you again, David.
Good, it's really good to see you as well actually. And what I didn't mention maybe last time, Frank, is if you want to get a coffee, get a coffee. The whole point of these things is to have some of that relaxed sort of interaction with a coffee, with a tea, maybe with a sharper drink, maybe as well. I don't know what time it is there. Right? So yeah. So if you want to get a coffee, get a coffee.
I have a coffee, and it is morning here. Although your coffee cup looks much more artistic and ornate than mine. Yours looks like a cup that maybe you'd be sipping from if you were having a brief meeting with Shakespeare.
That's true.
Mine, I just bought this at Starbucks.
Funny enough, you should say that. The theatre aspect of that stuff, it does invigorate actually. So thank you for that. So we're going to talk in this one, Frank, if that's okay, about sort of reinvention. We've listened to your sort of background, where you've come from, and some topics we'll pick up as we go through this. I'm really interested in sort of seeing the old to the new. You know, how customers are changing what they do in business and how they're thinking differently. Not just over the last few years, but certainly since maybe 1993, and maybe over the last 6 months when things have just gone, it's completely different again in the health challenges we've had. So I think it's fair to say that service has been the same forever. Best practice, frameworks, it's been the same forever. Feels like forever, 20 years, 30 years of the same stuff. What have you been seeing in that sort of RPA and AI space? What are you seeing the last few years? Even the last few months, yeah? And what are you seeing in organizations? What are they gravitating towards to change all that, to reinvent? What are you seeing, Frank?
Yeah, well, first of all, I have a kind of a perspective on this, maybe different than yourself or others that you interact with. In the tech world, we all revel in this concept of disruptive technology. I believe that really no one wants to be disrupted. So this concept of disruptive, right off the bat, you see the dilemma, right? That means you're forcing your way in as people are trying to force you out. So I'm less a fan of disruptive. I'm more for where there are problems where if you show up, you are welcome as a potential solution. That's part one. The other thing is when it comes to change, my experience, kind of being an industry guy and a deal guy in this space now for 20 plus years, is that most people don't want to change. They really don't. Most companies don't want to really change. And one of my favorite quotes is, and I apologize to the creator of this quote. I don't remember where I got it from, but change occurs when the pain of doing nothing exceeds the pain of doing something. That's the tipping point. So when the pain of doing nothing kind of spikes, as in this COVID world, then suddenly it sparks change. So that's why you see more deals, more efforts and journeys really being accelerated around digital transformation and or automation now than even a year ago, is because many of these managers have to move, but I think left to just a natural, organic state, most companies would kind of just be business as usual. That's enough of a challenge for the typical manager. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah, and it's a very key theme as well, Frank. If you look at that natural acceleration, the velocity of stuff, it's a word now that's becoming more and more used in IT service management. And I think,
but David, if I may, I just realized I did not answer your question though. So the question is, what do we see happening in RPA? There's no shortage of criticism out there about RPA, what it does, what it doesn't do. RPA is dead, and all sorts of. I just think there's a lot of RPA envy out there, David. So it's working in many areas, and it's not working in maybe equal as many areas. That's not a shot against RPA. That's always been the case in early phases of new technology and or new business models. So why should it be different here? For the most part, if you think of RPA as kind of, for the most part, non-intelligent automation of tasks, then you get what you pay for. That's not the business I'm in now with ChoiceWORX. The other end of the spectrum is very, intelligent automation of full end-to-end processes, right? So we can come back there. But RPA is kind of a very friendly on-ramp. I've referred to it as a digital gateway drug, that at some point shortly thereafter you need something stronger. But I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. It's awesome. It's a low-cost, low-risk way for companies to begin to move in the direction of automating processes. But most of the thousands that I've interacted with since launching ERPA AI, most of them are automating tasks. It's a good start, but it's not going to have the impact ultimately that they are looking for. Does that make sense?
It does, and it's really interesting actually, because you did mention in the last video intelligent automation, right? And I think you're right. I've read recently about how RPA is turned full circle to some degree. At one point, it was the silver bullet, and sort of recently, I've seen a lot less. It's almost like the bubble has burst on RPA, and an awful lot of negativity around it. But again, like any sort of system or any sort of technology or any framework, it's how it's adopted, it's how it's used. And I think that's a key thing with this. When you do automation of a task and you say intelligent automation, those are two different things in my head. Now, I may be wrong. So what is intelligent automation? What does that really mean?
Well, so let me allow me, if you will, to come at it from how I came at it. I came at it from the standpoint that companies are looking for, many of the companies I interact with are looking for an alternative to labor arbitrage.
Yeah, okay.
So I was fortunate to be one of those early adopters, if not the guy that launched the ecosystem for outsourcing back in the early 90s. And I was front row center for that shift from onshore to offshore, where it applied. Many people did it, many people did not do it, but I was there, and labor arbitrage was seen as that alternative where appropriate, that alternative to onshore labor. Where I see many thousands of managers now is looking for an alternative beyond labor arbitrage. So then I say, okay, fine. Coming at it from that standpoint, not from a software standpoint, from a manager who owns a function or a department or a process, looking to get the work done, in order for there to be a viable alternative, the alternative needs to be intelligent, just like a person, right? Be able to see and process and assess and make decisions, and get better, right? And learn from experience. And it also needs to be able to take on an entire process from end to end, beginning, middle, and end. So RPA does not do that. But there are aspects of it, there are alternatives out there, but specifically in the area of intelligent automation, that do allow you to do that. And my vision and my partner's vision behind ChoiceWORX was exactly that. Would be that our plan and our goal and what we've accomplished is to build an intelligent platform, an as-a-service platform, designed specifically for two use cases, if you will, and one obviously being IT service desk / endpoint management, which is why I'm here speaking with you. The other being bot management and repair. But in the case of the service desk, our objective, our mission from the beginning was to be able to take out the entire process for beginning, middle, and end, meaning identify an issue on a PC, make a decision, and resolve it, remediate the issue. So that's what we do. Now, why is that a big deal? Because if you look at it from the standpoint of service, whether you head up that department within an enterprise, or you head up that P&L within a service provider, in order for you to provide a viable service, speed is critical, right? Yeah. Cost is critical. Yeah. Having analytics or a telemetry, so you're able to make wise business decisions is critical. Things along those lines. And if you look at many of these things, there was in most cases it's labor, a traditional labor-centric approach that creates the challenge. So this concept of what I call digital labor, meaning really intelligent software that acts as a knowledge worker, that creates an entirely new dynamic, an entirely new opportunity to revolutionize how service is delivered. Really, any service in any arena. We've chosen to focus on endpoint management with regard to IT service management, specifically targeting the end user. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does, and that you've covered an awful lot there, right? So I think what we'll maybe do, we'll move on to the next video now, and I think you're absolutely right. If you look at that alternative to arbitrage, and there is a question I was going to bring up later about actually what does this mean? What does it really mean? What is the driver, the real driver, right? But I think you're absolutely right. If you look at that alternative, you look at that offshore, onshore to offshore, and offshore to something else. It's
offshore, yeah. So allow me to squeeze this in. My favorite graphic, I have this on a slide. It goes from onshore to offshore to no shore. No shore as in digital labor.
Yeah.
Right. So you go from the software does the work for most of the basic and obvious and those kind of level one type scenarios where if you probably have a sharp team of engineers there. Let them focus on the complicated stuff that they really want. That's why they took that job. They don't want to be talking to me every week because I continue to forget my password.
Totally agree.
If they drive to my house, it's probably not to repair my PC. It's probably to choke me because I'm torturing them with the same damn question every week.
Yeah, I totally agree. We're going to leave this one there, Frank, because I think we could crack on with this one for another 20 minutes, right? We're going to follow up on this one and maybe pick up some of those topics. So thank you again for joining us, Frank. Thank you for our listeners for listening as well. And we'll see you in the next vlog, next video.
My pleasure. Looking forward to it, David. Thank you.